Hey everybody, it is Dave and Josh, another episode of Good Chatter on JP25 Media.
All right, so the Dodgers are down 0-2, but we're not going to start with that. We're going to start with the last series, the Padres and Dodgers. I want to give you credit. You didn't jump on the Padre fans. You kind of kept your mouth shut, and you just accepted the win because everybody's expecting you to go ape shit on Twitter, and, you didn't do it. Why did you not? We kind of bit your tongue.
Okay, so here's the deal, all right? A lot of people like to jump all over me in San Diego especially. Now, everybody knows the history by now. I was born in Los Angeles. I was raised a Dodger fan. Even though I lived in Los Angeles for only 9 years out of my life, I'm a Dodger fan because my dad raised me that way. How many of you root for teams that your father kind of stuck you with and it was a relationship of father and son? I fell in love with the baseball at Dodger Stadium where people were trying to explain to me how the game worked. Now, look, when I first went to a game, I didn't understand what the bases were. I literally looked out, saw the dirt, and saw the warning track, and I thought you had to run all the way around the warning track and touch home plate to get a run. I'm like, no one's ever going to score.
How long ago was that?
It was 2 weeks ago that I realized that's not how it works. That's not what happened at all.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's how I became a Dodger fan. So I've told the story. I moved to San Diego. Before I got to San Diego, I rooted for the Padres all the way back in 1984. Actually, before that, in 83, when Steve Garvey signed as a free agent because he was my favorite Dodger. He was my favorite player, and I was so upset with the Dodgers, they wouldn't give him $400,000.
That's crazy.
That's not even the minimum anymore. And I said, okay, I became a Padre fan. The very next year, the Padres made a run for the World Series against the Tigers, and Garvey hit the biggest hit in Padre history. And I'm like, man, I got a really good team that I'm cheering for. And then as I started getting older as a kid, and I started saying, well, Steve Garvey's going to retire soon. I could see it. I still need a favorite player. Everybody needs that favorite player.
Yeah.
And I picked Tony Gwynn. And it was really weird that I picked Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn at the time, when I became a Padre fan, I was living in Nashville, Tennessee. Tony's family was right outside Nashville and Gallatin, Tennessee.
Yep.
And not only was I collecting his baseball cards, but when I came to San Diego and got involved in the media, I went out of my way to become friends with Tony. And if it wasn't for Tony, I would have never lasted in the media because everybody treated me terribly. And he literally told me how to talk to players. And my problem was I'd go in the locker room and I would go up to someone and go, Mr. Smith, do you have a second? And as soon as you call him Mr., you put them at a different level than you. And Tony would say, talk to them by their first name and they'll respect you and answer your questions. And it really got me through the media. Otherwise, without Tony, I would have never lasted. Yeah. And I became friends with Tony to the point every night when I was working for ESPN, I would send a Tony Gwynn interview back to Connecticut that they'd play on ESPN radio. And they would say, why do you always get Tony? And then they would go, forget it. Keep sending Tony. He's the best hitter in baseball. He's the biggest star. And he was always my go-to. Mm-hmm. Kind of crazy. I collected his baseball cards. He was my favorite player, and we became friends. And it really worked out well. And then later on, I got into working for the Padres station for KFMB and had a chance to do Padre Talk in 98 with Jeff. And it was great through the World Series. I don't hate the Padres at all, okay? What people don't understand on Twitter, a lot of times I'll sit here and we'll watch games, and Josh is a big Padre fan, and I don't root against the team my son's rooting for. And at the same time, I live in San Diego, and I used to do Padre Talk all the time, but I'll get bored. I mean, baseball moves slow, so I was like, I'm just going to basically poke you with needles until you respond. And it's not a matter of, hey, look at me, I need attention. It's like, hey, I'm bored. I'm going to take a shot and see who will react. Well, people react like crazy. So it's been really fun, okay, for me.
I know you love it.
I do. I love it. I know it makes you a little bit nervous. It makes your mom a little bit nervous that so many people before, while I'm sleeping, I'll pick up my phone, and it will be 8 messages that say eat shit before I even wake up. And it makes me laugh, just like Josh just laughed right now. So when the Padres got swept by the Dodgers, that was my chance to really lay into every one of you Padre fans out there that hate my guts. But I didn't do it. I took the high road. I don't think anybody noticed that I didn't make fun of your team. I really am happy, honestly, Josh, that the Padres are playing really well. I've been waiting for a long time, just like all of you have waited for a long time, for the Padres to play well. And what I want is really a Southern California rivalry. I want the Padres to be relevant. The Dodgers are already relevant. Their history of baseball makes them relevant. The Dodgers aren't the Yankees, but they're the closest thing in the National League to the Yankees. And I understand the Cardinals have a great tradition and the Cubs have a huge fan base, but the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and for the East Coast bias of always seeing the Red Sox or the Cardinals on Sunday Night Baseball all the time, the way it is set up right now, we're going to see a lot of Dodger-Padre games for years to come on a national level. This is exactly what I was hoping was going to happen almost the entire time I've been in San Diego. And I've been in San Diego for 31 years now. So it couldn't be a better situation for me as a baseball fan, for you as a baseball fan, and people who want to play the game. Now, the problem is some of you go crazy on Twitter and completely cross the line. Now, for the people who get it, it's awesome. For the people that go nuts and literally lose sleep over what I write on Twitter, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. Just so you know, when you talk trash about me, I laugh my ass off. Now, I'll tell you right now, when you cross the line, you won't say that to my face. I know you won't, because all of you guys are keyboard warriors that say I can write whatever I want. When you cross the line and you know who you aren't doing any good to anybody that follows the game, because they understand it. For the majority, 90% of the people understand you're a Padre fan, I'll play the Dodger fan, and we give each other a hard time because that's what sports fans do. And it's always fun in games, and we make each other laugh, I hope. But when you cross the line and you go after something personal, you don't know how to do it right. And if you honestly hate me that much, unfollow me. That you don't understand the game of what's happening. You want to make it personal, I'm not that hard to find.
Yep. I'm glad you explained that, because some people, I have friends that have asked me, is your dad really fighting? I said, no. I said, he's just having fun with it. He's just playing the villain. As a Padre fan, I appreciate it because you need that one person. If everybody's just, I'm not going to say the word, if they're just patting each other on the back, it's not fun. You need the villain. It's like in any superhero movie, you need the bad guy, and you're the bad guy.
I don't mind being the bad guy. Honestly, I don't. I think it's hilarious that I'm the bad guy in this situation, and I'm 100% fine with it. I give Jeff a lot of credit for this. He's the one that gave me the Diablo name.
Yeah.
And that started way back in, I think, 2015 when I said on there that the Chargers are moving to L.A. Jeff and I had good information. The Chargers were gone. Well, people freaked out. Screw you guys. What do you mean they're moving to L.A.? You're the devil. You're Diablo. I was like, all right, I'm Diablo. So the villain part is always fun. It makes a movie interesting. It makes Twitter interesting. It's what we do. It's not a matter of, hey, I'm going to take away the attention the Padres deserve so you focus on what I'm saying. What I'm saying is let's keep sports alive. We have a huge Southern California fan base, and not only the Dodgers and the Padres, but the Angels have Mike Trout, and if they ever make it to a World Series against the Dodgers or the Padres, you're going to see those lunatics from Orange County jump in too, and it's going to be awesome. Yeah. It's going to be really, really great, and that's what I'm hoping for as a sports fan.
Me too. Okay, so we're going to go to Twitter from tonight. Some people wrote to you. I just want to see your response, okay?
Okay. As we do this right now, the Dodgers lost Game 2 of the NLCS, and they're now down 0-2 to the Atlanta Braves.
Correct. Okay, so your first tweet tonight. Sorry, I got to check here.
No problem.
We got over, I think, maybe over 100 responses.
I couldn't keep up with everybody that was writing. I honestly try and write back. You don't hurt my feelings bad enough where I'm not going to respond. That's not how I do it. If I'm going to dish it out, I will take it back from you. I'll be honest with you. When the Dodgers were down, I think like 7-0, I flipped over and was watching the Titans and Bills. Yeah. And I just couldn't take it. It wasn't one of those like that Padre game where it was the second game where Cody Bellinger made that crazy catch against Tatis, which was awesome. And I was super nervous the whole game. It wasn't like that. It was like, we just got our asses kicked. A lot of times as a sports fan, it's easier to get your ass kicked and just accept the loss and move on to tomorrow and hope tomorrow is better. It's always those close games where you're biting your fingernails and freaking out and feel like you've had 2 strokes. Those are the ones that are always tough. Tonight wasn't like that. It was, screw it. What are the Titans doing? Can they knock off the Bills?
Okay. Your first tweet of the night was, can Padres Twitter help me out? I'm scrolling through the guide and can't find the Padres game. What time and channel are they on tonight? And good old Steve Woods wrote a desperate tweet from a desperate fan. Do you think you're a desperate fan right now?
Oh, I'm definitely not a desperate fan. Remember this. I'm sitting in a better chair than you're sitting in. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the Padre fans out there. I'm in a better chair. You know why I'm in a better chair? Because my team is still playing. There's nothing you can say. There's no comeback you could possibly make except for the fact not only is Dave's team still playing, your team isn't playing because my team knocked your team off and embarrassed you, swept you. So as close as you thought you were to challenging the Dodgers, you had no chance at all. It was embarrassing. You got knocked out right away in 3 straight games. As a matter of fact, you want to sit there and right now you're looking at the screen and you're saying, screw you, Dave. If we had Lamet and we had Clevenger, we would have been fine. Guess what? In a regular season, 60 games in, Those guys are done for the whole year. You aren't even making the playoffs. Don't give me this projected 100 win garbage. You aren't making the playoffs. Maybe you're fighting the goddamn Giants for last place or the Diamondbacks. You were lucky it was a 60-game season just to get to where you were. So don't give me those excuses about injuries. You don't hear me crying about Kershaw not going tonight. By the way, Gonsolin, pitched a simulated game just 2 days ago, 5 innings, and he came out and pitched today. So nobody's complaining. Dodger fans understand it's just the way baseball works. Next man up. The Braves, by the way, Soroka, their best pitcher's not playing in the series. You don't hear the Braves complaining.
Yeah.
That's just the way sports works. Injuries happen. The best ability is availability.
And they weren't available. Yeah, sucks as a Padre fan. Okay, next tweet. So weird to see a league championship series being played at Petco Park before the Padres actually played in one.
That's an awesome tweet. I'm proud of myself for that tweet.
All right.
Which is true. How weird is that? Padres have never played in an LCS, yet you have the Rays who are probably going to end up celebrating in the Padre locker room with champagne all over the place. They're going to have to clean the carpets in the Padre clubhouse because the Rays are going to completely trash it.
Jesus. Adam wrote, congrats on the NLDS flag, David. Juan wrote, I think you and the Dodgers should be worried about looking for runs. What happened to all the swag from last week? And Tom wrote, another season where the Dodgers don't meet expectations. Maybe 2020 isn't so weird.
Okay, so here you go. All right. NLDS, nobody gives a crap, okay? It's just one step in the goal of winning a World Series. And for the Dodgers, a little bit of truth right there. For the Dodgers, the only win this season is winning the World Series. Everything else is a failure. And that's the way Los Angeles is. For years, I've said you need to demand more as a sports fan. I always thought as Charger fans, they didn't demand enough from Dean Spanos. And you're seeing what's happening now. The Chargers are in L.A., and the fan base hasn't jumped on to support them. And as things have gone bad, where the team doctor ends up puncturing the lung of the starting quarterback, and you go, how the hell does that happen? I'll tell you that happens. You go cheap on your medical staff. That's how that happens. Dean Spanos has always gone cheap. You've seen guys leave this organization over and over again and seen the Chargers have gone cheap. For sports fans to understand that you need the best ability to keep these guys healthy, that's what happened to the Chargers. For the Padres, I've said ownership wasn't supporting you as a fan, and I used to say demand more. Why would you go continue to buy tickets to Petco Park to see guys like Kristen Orfia? What happened was Petco Park turned into the best outdoor bar in the United States. Guys were going to pick up chicks. College guys were showing up on Thursday night?
Thursday was college night, yeah.
Okay, and fights broke out all the time. Guys are getting tanked, picking up chicks. No one's paying attention to the game. And you as a fan, why would you keep buying tickets? And I was encouraging you as fans, stop buying tickets. Stop supporting the product. If you went to a crappy restaurant, why would you go back the next night if the food was bad the night before? That's what you were doing, stupid. So right now you go out and you've made moves. And there's nothing bad to say about what Ron Fowler, Seidler's doing. They're doing a great job. They went out and spent the money on a guy like Machado. They went out and spent the money on Hosmer, which who knows if that was the right thing to do, but they tried. And now they go out and they make a trade for a guy like Clevenger. And you say they are definitely moving in the right direction. And as Padre fans, you should be extremely excited. My point was in the past, don't support the crappy product they were giving you, and that's what you were doing. I was encouraging you, do not go to Petco Park and support the product. I know you didn't. You didn't go.
I didn't go.
Josh has his own money. Josh is a huge Padre fan. He goes, I'm not going until they put something on the field that's worth paying for. And right now there's something on the field that's worth paying for. Unfortunately, because of 2020, we haven't been able to see a game at Petco Park.
Speaking of paying for guys, Tommy Pham, did we bring him back?
Tommy Pham's coming back. He has one more year. Has to prove himself.
He has one more year, doesn't he?
He has one more year.
God,
so
I don't hate him. I don't think he lived up to the player he was supposed to be.
He didn't, because again, he wasn't healthy. He came here. He complained about the trade when he came here. He wanted to stay on the Rays. He thought the Rays were going in the right direction. He wasn't wrong. I mean, the Rays are about to go to the World Series.
Yeah.
And right now, the Rays look like the team to beat. They're playing outstanding. Look, here's the deal. Once you're traded, you're traded. And you better tell everybody this is how it works. I want to thank the people of Tampa Bay for giving me the opportunity to showcase my talent in front of you. I enjoyed my time in Tampa Bay. San Diego, I can't wait to get there. You do exactly what Trevor Rosenthal has done, where you try and embrace yourself into the city. And even if it's phony and you don't mean it, at least to the fan base, you're selling yourself. It makes you more valuable as a free agent when your time comes up. This guy's a guy that will immerse himself in a city. Tommy Pham complained first thing he did, that he didn't want to be here. He wasn't happy with the trade coming to San Diego. So now Tommy Pham gets hurt. Okay, didn't play up to what we thought he was going to be. We thought he was going to be a huge part of the Padres winning. The Padres didn't need him at all.
No.
A couple days after the season ends, Tommy Pham gets stabbed outside of a strip club. The best news out of the whole thing is that Tommy Pham didn't jump on an airplane and get the hell out of San Diego. So he stayed in San Diego, so maybe he honestly starts to like the city and feels like this could be home. But at the same time, this is a major story. And if anyone wants to brush it to the side, and the story is not that he was at a strip club. The story is he got stabbed. And anyone who thinks Tommy Pham walked out of a strip club and said, hey, guys, you're by my car. Do you guys mind moving, please? That's not what happened. Tommy Pham somehow was involved with these guys or said, look, motherfuckers, get away from my car, and he got stabbed. That's how you get stabbed. Nobody gets stabbed from saying, please. And hey, maybe a little too close to my car. Can you guys take it somewhere else? I don't think that's the way it happened. Okay? And the problem with the media in this town is they let things go. And we let too many things go all the time in this town. And I'll give you a really sad example. Junior Seau, who's one of the greatest athletes in the history of this city and someone we're all proud of and loved, Junior Seau gets arrested. Junior Seau gets into his, I think, Escalade at the time. Drives right off a goddamn cliff. Now, was that an attempt for help? We don't know, because everybody here, hey, let's not bother Junior. He might be going through something. Nobody follows up on that question. Where's the media to sit there and follow up? And when I say media, radio guys don't count. Radio guys aren't real guys that break stories. I know a ton of guys too. We don't break a lot of stories, and we're in a hurry to break a lot of stories. Unless you're Hacksaw and you think you're breaking stories, that's not the way it works. The guys who are the ones that need to follow up on this, and guys who work for the Union Tribune or guys who work for the TV stations. But they let Junior's problem go, and Junior ends up committing suicide. It was horrible, and I keep thinking back, maybe that never happens if people would have stayed on top of it. And that we're the only city where that happens. Derek Jeter gets arrested, drives off a cliff. There's no way the New York Times is letting that go. Mm-hmm. How did that just happen that Derek Jeter, who everybody loves, all of a sudden did something crazy where within a 12-hour period gets arrested and almost kills himself? But in Junior Seau, we let it go. Tommy Pham, we should not let this go. And I'm not saying to pry into Tommy Pham being at a strip club. I'm saying what is going on with Tommy Pham being at the wrong place at the wrong time? How does that happen, and why does it happen? If I'm the Padres paying him or the next team that might pay him, I want to know what happened to Tommy Pham and why he got stabbed in that situation on a Sunday night. And don't tell me the chicken wings are great at Pacers. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well,
maybe I know.
Maybe you know. Let's wrap this up with a Jake story. Somebody asked on Twitter, what's your favorite Jake memory? And there's so many, but this is actually one of my favorites because Jake would do this over and over again.
Okay, so Jake was a huge comedic fan. Jake wanted to be a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And so Jake spent a lot of time writing jokes, and he would do stand-ups, and he was really good. If he wasn't good, I would tell you he wasn't good. I would tell Jake, don't waste your time. You aren't that funny. But Norm Macdonald used to do something, and I believe it was Norm. I hope I got it right. Norm Macdonald used to do something on airplanes that Jake stole from Norm, but we didn't know, and we didn't know this was his move, but he did it all the time, and we knew it was coming after a while. And so Josh and I just got off an airplane. We were out of town for about 4 days, and we ended up on 4 different flights, and I thought about it every time. So the captain would get on, and he would say, hello, this is so-and-so. I want to thank you for flying American Airlines. And he would talk about, we're headed to Nashville, Tennessee. Our flight destination is going to be 3.5 hours long. The wind is so-and-so. And Jake would wait for him to say his name. That was Norm Macdonald's joke. So he would say, hello, everybody. I'm Captain Johnson. And as soon as he said his last name, Jake would yell out, oh, no, not Crash Johnson. And people would freak out. And a lot of people are afraid to fly still, people are afraid of takeoffs, afraid of landings. And when Jake would yell out, like he had a nickname, the guy's known for crashing, people would freak out. It was funny as shit.
It's so funny.
It was funny. People would panic. And then I'd have to tell people around. Jake would just lean back in his chair like nothing happened. And then I'd have to tell people around us, look, you can't have the nickname of Crash Johnson and then have that nickname. How many times do you think you're going to crash and survive? The guy's not known for crashing. It was a joke.
Yeah.
And people did not think it was funny. It was hilarious. I mean, maybe you and I are sick, but I thought it was funny. And Jake, again, he stole the joke, but it was funny as hell. And so every time he flew with them, you were like, who's going to sit next to Jake? Because you knew it was coming. And after a while, we just said, it's Jake. It's what he does. He does anything for a laugh. Wasn't ever afraid to be embarrassed, but man, he would yell it out every freaking time, and it was hysterical.
He never cared about being embarrassed.
No, he did not. And he would wait, whatever that guy's name, man.
This is Captain Smith. No, not Crash Smith, and just put that headphone to sit back.
Oh no, not Crash Smith. and he would. It was funny. It was hysterical to do, and again, we miss him every day. But some of the things that we laugh about that was one of the things that Josh and I talked about when we were traveling across country.
Yeah. So, Miss Jake, JP25 Media on YouTube. Subscribe, JP25 Media on Instagram and Twitter. Appreciate you guys. See you next time.
If you want to tell me to eat shit, it's easy. It's at Dave Palet. If you want to be nice to Josh, he's nicer than me. It's at Josh Palet.